go back to April 2020 when the world was in a lockdown. Markets were crashing and companies were gasping for survival. That's when policymakers had to ask an urgent and important question: what if these distressed Indian firms were taken over by foreign companies? So that's why a shield was raised, a policy was made in the name of Press Note 3. And for years, this Press Note 3 has protected Indian companies, and every foreign investor, every foreign investment from neighboring countries has been screened and scrutinized so as to ensure that our domestic economy grows. But now that our economy is strong, capital is rising, investment is building, this is when the government is considering the de minimis rule, so as to ensure the inflow of investment to the small firms. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about this very Press Note 3 and also the change that government is considering. So let us try to understand all the important terms as well. For example, Press Note 3, what exactly it is, de minimis rule, what exactly it is, and what government is trying to do and what are the consequences around it. Beginning with understanding what government has agenda. So as of now, the government is considering reviewing Press Note 3. Now when we are talking about Press Note 3, we will be discussing this in detail, but as of now we need to understand that why government is considering this. Government is considering the review of Press Note 3 so as to ensure that foreign direct investment, especially in the small firms, is eased out, especially from the neighboring countries. And that is why the government is considering the de minimis threshold for small investment. The whole aim is faster approvals and also reduced compliance burden for small firms here. And for this, we will be understanding everything from scratch, starting with what exactly is Press Note 3. So when we talk about Press Note 3, you have to understand that this is a policy. Now this policy was brought on by Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and the whole idea of this policy was that government approval, prior government approvals are very important. Prior government approvals are absolutely important if there is any FDI, foreign direct investment, coming from neighboring countries of India. So here let us understand what exactly is foreign direct investment. Whenever a foreign investor, that means investor not from the domestic economy, wants to put some money in India, but we have to know which form. So let's just say that particular person is putting his money in physical assets. That is when it will be considered as foreign direct investment. Let's take an example. Let's just say a foreign investor, Walmart, wants to invest in the physical assets. That means a building, a operation that is going on. So let's just say they have a known chain D-Mart running in India and they want to invest in the physical asset of D-Mart and have some ownership. That would be FDI. Now if any FDI is coming from neighboring countries, countries which are sharing the land borders with India, for that government said they would need prior government approval, and this policy was brought in April 2022. Now April 2020. Now this was the main crux of the Press Note 3. Now the applicability was in the case when investor is based in bordering country, or the beneficial owner, the person who will gain benefits of the investment, belongs to such country, or if the ownership transfer results in such control. So in either of these scenarios, there was a requirement of prior government approval. Now this was a policy that overrides all the sectoral automatic routes. That means if FDI is allowed in certain sectors through automatic route, that means prior government approval is not required. If that is the scenario, in that case as well, this is the prior policy that needs to be considered. For example, if we are saying in insurance, there is 100% automatic route. But if the investor is from the neighboring countries, as per press note 3, this is the primary policy and it overrides the automatic routes. Now we are clear with press note 3. What exactly is press note 3? Now because of this, any investment, no matter what size, no matter in what company, what sector, it had to go through prior government approval. Now that not only led to delayed, but compliance burden also increased because of that. Right? Now we have understood press note 3. Now in this context, the government is considering reviewing all of this, and they are considering. Now in context to this, we need to understand that this was applicable to all the border countries. We have China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar and Afghanistan. In this context, now this particular policy is applicable to land bordering countries. That means it includes all the countries where we share our land borders, be it China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar and Afghanistan. So you have to remember, we are not talking about maritime boundaries, we are talking about land boundaries here. But the question arises here that why were we specifically targeting these countries? Why did we had to introduce press note 3? Because that will give us an understanding into why we have put it in review and also how are we looking into trade and investment without compromising on national security. So for this, we have to answer a bigger question here, why press note 3 was introduced. Now for this, we will go back to the exact same context where I started this session with, because when we are talking about COVID-19, we have to remember that it was not just about lockdown, it was also about that because of this lockdown, we had economic slowdown running all across the world. And especially like a country like India, which is developing and which has a huge population burden, economy was in a very difficult situation. That was the time where we saw Indian firms, they were becoming financially weak. They were exposed that way. And that is where there was a risk of opportunistic takeover. Now, if we are talking about this risk of opportunistic takeover, the worry was foreign and hostile takeovers. Now, we are in difficult times, we are financially weak, but at the same time, the hostile and foreign takeover was not just about economic security, it was about national security as well. Because strategic assets could have been taken away, they could have been taken over, and that laid a direct question on our economic sovereignty as well. So as to ensure that neither economic sovereignty nor national security is compromised, press note 3 was brought in so that the government has the final say that who gets to invest in our country. And that is what has stood the test of time. This is what has protected and guarded the small Indian firms. And now that we have recovered, now that we are out of this cycle, because the starting point was this. Now that this starting point has gone away, done with, and we have recovered significantly, our economy seems to be strengthened, stable, and firms are also in a better position. We are reviewing this. But that does not mean we are taking the whole shield away. We have to understand a very important thing that the government has said, de minimis threshold. So government is going to ensure that we do get the investment, but at the same time, the government is not going to compromise on national security and also economic sovereignty. So for that, we will be understanding de minimis threshold. We will be understanding de minimis threshold. So when we are talking about de minimis rule or de minimis threshold, it basically means wherever we are putting this line, everything that is below this line, it is just too small to matter. We don't need to get into that. You have to choose your battles, right? So this is the very context of de minimis rule, that it is too small to matter. So what government is saying, that we will have a proposal, we will put a defined limit, and if the companies are below that threshold, then they can go for automatic route. Now threshold may be defined, the government still needs to come up on the formal agreement of this policy, where they might put it in percent equity stake. Okay, if the foreign investor is interested in 15% or less, 10% or less, 5% or less, it will go through automatic route. Or it might be defined in monetary value. If the foreign investor is investing 50 crores or less, 100 crores or less, then it will come through automatic route. So government basically wants here that small stakes which are not harmful, they can bypass the full approval process, because the delay can be addressed, the compliance burden will be reduced. But press note 3, that is not going away, that is right there. Only an exemption is being made for small deals, and this exemption is being made because there are certain situations in the current system which are burdening the economy. For example, when we talk about industry, as of now sees the fact that every small investment that needs government approval. Now if the government approval is required, then there is long bureaucratic clearance timeline associated with it, there is follow-on investment that is required, that is delayed, and small firms which are already financially crunched, they cannot afford this. So in this situation, when a small firm is caught up in this, venture capital funds are also not interested in those firms. So this is a lose-lose situation, and this is where we get to see small firms, startups start to lose time-sensitive funding opportunities at all. As a result, we are seeing that the capital inflow is facing this particular barrier, and that is why there is reduced investor confidence. So if we take off this barrier, and it will also facilitate investor confidence, and later this can convert into better investment. So that is the idea. The review is not the whole policy, but an exemption here. Press note 3 as a policy will stay, the exemption will be given only to the small deals. But the main question here is, why are we considering this now? It has been almost 6 years. This policy came in April 2020. We are sitting in February 2026. Why now? Why now is because economy is better. Economy has recovered, and also this growing economy, not just recovered economy, needs fund. So as of now, we have startups and MSMEs which need funding. So when we are pressing on press note 3, where the emergency rationale has weakened as of now because we have moved on from the distressed time, this is where we get to see the need of quick capital inflows. Approval delays will not only hurt the innovation cycle and also valuation, but also the global venture capitalists, they are not interested in delayed jurisdiction, they want to have faster jurisdiction. Furthermore, we also get to see investment has also become an arena, it is a competition. So when we are looking at competing economies, be it Vietnam, Indonesia, UAE, they are offering better approval, lesser compliance burden, and India has to avoid appearing restrictive, because as of now the global capital is flying all over the place because of the chaos, and they are looking for a place to land. So if India looks restrictive, then global investment would not want to sit there. Then we have other reasons as well for this particular timing for review of press note 3, because it has also caused added administrative burden to the government. That means government agencies are overloaded with small investments, small deals. Other than that, screening minor investments diverts actual focus of the government where it should be at the high risk deals, high risk zones. So that is another problem. And apart from that, we are also seeing that the government is transitioning towards policy maturity phase. They have realized there is no benefit of the blanket restriction. We need to focus on risk-based regulation. That means higher risk need to be regulated better, lower risk or lower stake, they can be let gone off. but we have other factors in here as well. When we look at the international landscape, our facilitation, the main worry factor if we talk about here was China. If you talk about other countries around us, none of them had such a capital of which India would bring in such an emergency policy. It was China. With China, our terms have improved. Across the globe, given the chaos that is going on, everybody is trying to make better investment. So we have to open up to ensure more incoming from other partners as well. So this is the time that we can let go of the fear, but at the same time focus on risk-based regulation. And if we want to become actually a China plus one alternative, then we have to give that image to the world as well. So these factors have facilitated this review. The final details of this from the government's end are not out yet. They will be finalized, but this is in due consideration, and that shows the fact that India wants to remain security conscious, where they are not changing press note 3, but at the same time they do not want to discourage good and legitimate foreign investment. Now on this note, we will be moving towards it is important to understand the significance of this, because economically it is going to change a lot of things for us. Not only it will speed up low risk investment, it will directly help startups and MSMEs access funds quickly. If you remember it right, startups and MSMEs are the pillars of our export and our economy. So any fueling to them directly fuels our export orientation and our economy as well. It will reduce the administrative cost, compliance cost, and it will also facilitate ease of doing business in our country. Furthermore, we will be seen more flexible as an economy without diluting our safeguards as well. But this comes with risk as well and concerns as well, because when we are talking about risk, there will be a direct possibility of indirect influence via multiple small stakes. So if we are thinking that okay, small deals are too small to matter, then we can allow them, then there can be a person who is making multiple small deals and it can amount to a big one. We have to take that in consideration. Monitoring would be a complex thing here, and security loops would needed to be tightened, and security loopholes might also exist if the threshold that we are talking about, too small to matter, is too high. Now on this note, I will be leaving you with a prelims practice question. You can put down your answers in the comment section. Another question that I would like to ask here, what do you think would be direct positive consequences of this particular move? I have given some pointers here. You can add more from your end and put it down in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.